my kid's dad has a phone in his hand. And that is such BS. And the fact that that's normal.
Our kids deserve better.
Yeah, sometimes normal is so stupid.
Oh, yeah.
And like Paul's saying, there's a wise way to live, and he says foolish, which is a synonym for stupid.
Yeah.
And there's just stupid ways to live that aren't even necessarily sinful yet. Yeah. Like you mentioned this past week. I'm gonna say it one more time. You don't have to be stupid because everybody else is being stupid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And I'm so over it. I don't know what it's been. I've never felt this passionate about phone stuff in my life.
Well, I think part of it is we have so many meetings with people who have such struggles with contentment and are so distracted. And it's like, I can't figure out what to do with my life, and I can't keep a relationship healthy and all this stuff. And it's like, there's a lot of ingredients. I can't pray. I can never get consistent in my time with God. Like when you said in your sermon, you're like 3 hours on Netflix and I don't even notice. But to 15 minutes with God, like I'm so busy. There's no time, right? Like, how many times are we all going to say that and hear that before somebody stops you and goes, stop living the way you're living, then change something. It's Afterthoughts time, and this is episode 76. I'm going to tell you guys 2 interesting facts about 76.
Okay.
Fact number 1, Philadelphia's basketball team is the 76ers.
That's great. Why?
Yes, because of fact number 2.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
In 1776,
There it is.
America was born.
Whoa.
Officially.
Whoa.
So in honor
what is
of
America?
Which takes me to fact
We have
3.
a lot of international listeners.
We have 5s of listeners internationally. So happy episode 76.
Remote places with no
76.
internet.
Yes.
So they don't know what America is.
They don't
but they know
know
what Afterthoughts
But
is.
they have Starlink that is giving us them access to download episodes of Afterthoughts.
Maybe we title this one The Answer after Allen Iverson.
Oh, who?
76er.
Well, very good.
One of the classics.
Yes. And then he was on the Nuggets. That was a fun time.
That was a fun time.
When he got traded
When
to the Nuggets, I
Carmelo-
thought, us?
Was Carmelo, Allen Iverson, and Chauncey Billups all at the same time?
Chauncey was like, I think right after
that.
it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
But that
Scope
team, J.R. Smith, Kenyon Martin,
Chris Anderson.
we had some Marcus Camby in there.
Chris
Wild time.
Anderson.
So many names.
I used to mow his lawn.
I'm thankful
Good guy.
that I can help educate everyone about the number 76. Now you know more.
I'm very grateful for this.
Yes. Today
Okay.
we're going to do 3 things.
Oh, was that not one of the things?
No, that was just a little fun up
That was
top.
a prelude to the 3 things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a sick hook to get people like, I got to watch the rest
Oh
of this
man,
episode.
you got my attention.
Yeah. Comment below what you think about
Whoa.
number 76. 3 things. First, we're going to, for God's sake, Ryan, would you explain these things to us?
After every single service, I tried to explain these every single service, and then Ethan came back with like another hey, maybe
So
say
now
this because
people are
somebody's
asking
DMing
this.
about this.
Oh my gosh.
And I thought, you
You
know
did a
what?
great job. It
I
wasn't-
tried my best. And so,
It wasn't your fault.
Doug, why don't you try to explain what this is to the church?
Oh, I don't have my phone.
Oh, here's
Wow.
mine.
I don't
never
need this.
I never leave it anywhere.
Okay.
I have so much stuff on my phone.
Well, we learned this. We first saw this in action at a comedy club
Yep.
where you have to turn your phone.
Oh,
in.
Christian comedy club.
Right.
No.
Well,
Just to be clear,
We were on a mission
no.
trip.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This was before we were Christians.
yeah.
Wait a second. Was it?
No, this was
like-
last year.
This was okay.
We were pastors.
Oh, yeah. Deep. We were
Dude,
deep
what
into
is-
the church.
What is time anymore, dude? It just goes by so fast.
But yeah, it's a human construct.
So if you don't want to have even the temptation to be distracted by your phone in church, this is optional. It is not mandatory. But you can stop by the merch mart on your way into church in the lobby, grab one of these, take your phone, place said phone in the Yonder sleeve,
Nice.
and then it's sealed.
It's in there.
And put it on silent.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's gonna be pretty awkward.
Which I'm sure will happen.
Every service, somebody's phone is ringing though.
It's always at the best time, too.
Yeah.
And then this is not even a temptation. It's not a distraction. So you can actually be present in the moment. Because how many know you can be in the room, but not really be in the room?
Wow, I know.
I do.
This guy knows. So
I
this
do.
is how you can be in the room physically and be in the room mentally as well.
Now, I have a question.
Okay.
Say it's this weekend and the sermon is extra good.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I go, I need to write that down.
Uh-huh.
Oh, no, I can't get to my phone to write this down. Is there another object
Yeah, you
that
can just take it out to the merch team and they'll
Sprint
unlock
out
your
into the
phone.
lobby and you...
What I'm trying to get
Cut
at
it with scissors.
is there another object out there that you can carry around where you can write things down.
Well, back in times like 1776, people would use ink on paper and write things down. One. There are still stores that sell paper.
So maybe I pick up a journal this week I bring my journal with me.
Yes, a journal is pages bound together so you can keep writing multiple pages. Let's clear up some of the confusion though, for real, because we're just a lot of questions, which is fair. People have never seen this at church.
Okay.
You keep your phone with you the whole time.
Yeah.
So you don't give your phone to the merch team.
I want to say, these are fair questions.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever seen this in this context.
Not all
before.
of them are fair, but we're going to answer some of them.
Yeah. That was a fair question.
That's a
Do
fair
I
question.
keep it with me?
You keep it with you, so you have your phone the whole time. It's just in that bag.
And we don't want to be responsible.
Oh, no. No.
Man.
You can go back to the merch team at any point and you just unlock it right on this thing.
By doing
the other side, green ring.
The green ring.
Down. You just give it a little. Well, you don't have to do that.
Somewhere between.
Like that.
Yeah.
Somewhere between.
Bam! It's more just about the direct contact.
If you really want to be free of distraction, you take your actual phone, screen down, and you slam it onto this as hard as you can.
Ever text
we
you
could probably
ever
start
again.
like a mob mentality thing where people just like, all right, I'll do it. I don't care.
Yeah.
And the parents can use these,
right?
Because we have little numbers that come up on little screens by the big screens that will tell you your number your kid needs you to go over to Red Rocks Kids. So available for everyone. You don't buy this from us.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone was like, oh, I guess this supports the church. I was like, no, you don't buy it. We purchase them for you to use. You don't rent it. You just borrow it.
Technically, you rent it for free.
Yeah.
Which we also call borrow.
Yeah. Whatever terminology you want to use, you borrow it, you rent it for free from the merch team. You use it for that service. And then when the service is over, you just go unlock it, get your phone, and drop that bag that you just threw into the little Yonder
less than
hampers.
I knew 3 minutes ago.
But see,
I don't know how you guys did that.
This is how people listen to announcements. It's like, what did he say? I don't even know. It's like, well, you stopped listening to when he explained the part where he explained it. Yeah. If you had listened, you would know what it is. And that's how
he's answering
and
your
that's
future
the life
question
of a pastor
right now.
Yeah.
I did this past weekend, and also Daniel Dodd did this past weekend.
So we got two.
That boy, Dan.
2 people in our church did this weekend. It was new for most people, but now from now on, if you come to Red Rocks Austin, this is always available.
See if we can get that number up to 4 people this weekend.
We're trying to exponentially grow this, double to 4 people next week. I'll do it. So that gives us 3.
Was there
if you and Daniel are back in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they didn't know about it. So
now they know.
Hey, be what you want to see.
That's right.
Wow. But while we're talking about phones, because our wives crashed our show last week.
Oh yeah.
And they wanted to talk about how great, relationships are and all the struggles about when you broke up with Sam and how Steph has an incredible husband and all that. We didn't get to talk about when you talked about phones in your sermon.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Very convicting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which led me to think, why don't we share some of our best practices of cutting out distraction, of routines? Yeah. What does your regiment look like? How do you fight against distraction? How do you have some structure in your life?
Yes. Well, you know what? I will say this. I'm preaching that same message in Denver at all of our Red Rocks Denver locations this weekend.
Let's go.
So for all of our afterthinkers in Denver, enjoy your last few days with your phone.
Yeah.
Because I'm about to
Ignorance
ruin
is bliss,
it for you.
but no longer.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have any tactics for people?
I do.
Anything you do that's helpful?
Go ahead,
Ryan,
this guy's really good at it.
So I try to, Rick Warren years ago when it comes to rest, he said to build out something, the flow is to get away daily and then to withdraw weekly and then to completely escape annually when he's talking about rest. And so what that means for him is once a day he does something fun where he can unplug, and then once a week he takes a Sabbath, and then once a year he is completely off the grid for a whole week. So I thought that's a really good flow for your phone. And so I try to mornings, I keep mornings sacred, where I don't get to my phone until I've been up for an hour is what I try to do. And then once a week, which I now am doing on Saturday evenings into Sunday mornings.
That's great.
Where I don't have my phone at all. I hate to say this because it's going to add confusion because this is not what the Yonder bags are for, but I just left it in the Yonder bag overnight. and that was like a really nice thing. I got into my car, was driving home, and realized I can't play a podcast or I can't play any music. And it was weird at first. Like, do I play the radio? What do I do? And then halfway through the drive, I thought, or I could debrief my week with God. And so we just went through, like, starting Sunday all the way to Saturday. Here's all the things that happen. Here's the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
And then once a year, so I try to take the first hour of the day to not have my phone. I try to take one section of my week, whether it's a few hours or whatever, to put it away. And then once a year, I try to go without.
When you kayak in Hawaii.
That's right.
Because it'd probably go overboard anyway.
Yeah, and there's no service. So that's a hack.
Very good. Silent drives are in.
Silent drives, man.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it really is a very helpful tool a lot of people could utilize to just decompress your brain.
Yeah.
Think about how many things happen, right, on just a normal day.
Yeah.
And we don't process them. We just kind of push them down and keep going. And so taking your drive just to go, okay, God, here was this conversation and here's how I felt about it. This meeting didn't go as great as I was hoping it would. I saw you show up for me in an unexpected way there. I'm kind of mad about this thing that's happening over here. That's so good for you.
Very good
process.
And you go from like one input to the next input to the next input. And I think that's why people feel so overwhelmed. You can't sleep at night.
Yeah.
Also, the increase in accidents on the road ever since smartphones.
That's
crazy, man.
There's a lot of statistical backup for that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's also great to not have your phone out because you may not back up 35 for the next 2 hours or wreck your car or somebody else.
Yeah, man.
Doug?
Yes.
Do you have anything you do?
I recommend decluttering your phone of any app that if you have an app on there that it's like, man, I use this once a year, or this is even, I used to have apps that were just in like a random folder just in case. And I've actually never used them once.
Right.
I'm like, I'm just going to not even have a random folder.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to have everything that doesn't add value to my life. That's a good question, by the way, to go through it app by app and ask yourself, does this add value and make me better? Is it actually contributing to create the life that I want? Or is it just is it a distraction? Is it mind numbing? But in the end, it actually is not serving me.
Yeah. Right.
It's doing the opposite.
Yep.
And just get it off your phone. I feel like my phone actually, it doesn't, but it almost feels like it weighs less. It's like lighter in my pocket because there's way less on it. I have now one swipe and, every app is just right there. So it's having fewer, but you have the apps that you really utilize well.
Yeah.
Go through your subscriptions. You might be shocked as to what you're paying every month or every year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really hard to cancel them.
Yeah, they make it.
Yeah, you got to go on a little bit of a scavenger hunt to cancel them.
Dude, I got Audible just to listen to Ryan's book while I was mowing my lawn.
Yeah.
And it just took me, Kayla Jr. was trying to help me for like 2 days. Like I could not cancel my Audible.
Yeah.
But then I did. Take that, Jeff. Continue.
Yeah, dude.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Go through them one at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, so have less on your phone.
Yes.
And then, okay, 2 more things really quick. Number one for me, and this won't work for everybody, but I have an Apple Watch. And the reason I have this is I was trying to go more places without a phone at all. But I've got Sam and I've got the kids. Right. And I know as soon as I go somewhere without my phone, that's when she's going to need to get a hold of me.
Right.
That's just how life works. Or I take the kids to the park, but then she needs to call me about something at home with Mila. So I got an Apple Watch that has cellular. So there's nothing on my watch that is tempting for me at all.
Yeah.
There's no, maybe some people can doom scroll on this, or this is a distraction for them. This little screen is not a temptation for me. I think it's more of a hassle to do anything, to send a text message or even make a call. So I'm not about to search the web.
You're the weirdo guy walking, talking.
Yeah. Exactly. And so I use it for, so I can go to the park with the kids and leave my phone. I can go to the grocery store. I can go more places.
That's
and
nice.
I have the peace of mind that if Sam needs to call me, She can text me. She can get a hold of me because I have this and I'm not worrying and wondering the whole time. Yeah. And so I can leave the house a lot more and leave my phone home. And that's something that I would bet we never do.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, dude. If you leave your house, your phone comes with you. Like you're not going anywhere without it.
Yeah.
And so I can do that a lot more with this because this is not a temptation. And I also learned 2 weeks ago about a new, this cool product that I want to buy. It's called the Brick. Have you heard of it? So it's
I've heard of a brick.
You've heard of bricks.
Yeah.
But you don't know about the
Nice.
You don't know about this. Okay. Trust me, you're about to know.
Oh, educate us, Doug.
All right.
Here's our new segment. Now we know.
It's called. I learned this from Pastor Jonathan Pokluda, and I'll tell you what he said about it in just a second. And let me first explain what it is. It's this little thing that you basically imagine you put it in your car. So when he gets home from work, he's pre-programmed it with his phone where he taps his phone on the brick and it turns his smartphone into a dumb phone.
Oh.
So he goes inside and for the rest of the night, he has a dumb phone.
Wow.
And then, and so it works for everything. Like he can use it as an alarm, but he's not tempted to doom scroll.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the next morning, he gets in his car and then he taps it again to go to work and it turns his dumb phone. It's just called Brick. That's the company.
Okay.
I think.
From Anchorman.
Yes.
He made them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Steve Crow.
Brick, are you just pointing at random things and saying you love them? Yes. I love Brick. And so
that's a great idea.
But it's so funny because Jonathan said, for Christmas, I got my family the Brick for myself.
That's cool.
And his kids were like, that was the best Christmas present we could have ever gotten was for dad to get himself the Brick.
Wow.
And it was very moving. So
that's
you can,
great.
It's, and somebody else can have like the password and all that kind of stuff. And you can program it so it's custom for what you need it to be.
Wow.
And so you get home, and then you tap your smartphone and it turns it into a dumb phone. I gave 4 ways to outsmart your smartphone.
Yep.
Or be wiser, I guess, than your smartphone.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can be smarter than it, but you can be wiser than it. That's what that is possible.
Right.
And the first one is to admit your addiction. And just because everybody has the same one doesn't make it funny or harmless or cute. And then wake up before your phone, which is what you just talked about.
Yep.
So you can start the day with intention.
Yep.
And then delete all distractions if you dare. Cut out any app that doesn't actually add value to your life and is not contributing to you becoming who you really want to become.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we're all becoming something, but there's a chance a lot of your apps are causing you to become something you don't want to become.
Oh yeah.
And be honest. Like I'm not going to go get a dumb phone this week, but I have been looking at the man in the mirror, and the man in the mirror is holding a phone. And that's true for all of us.
Yeah.
And asking him questions and being very honest about the answers. And then use it with intention.
Yeah.
So if you can have this without it having you, you can use it with a lot of intention.
Yeah.
We can FaceTime mom and dad with the click of a button. They can see their grandkids.
Yeah.
Like we can stay in touch with people. You can get the YouVersion Bible app. You can get the Dwell app. You can use it for, there's a lot of apps that actually can contribute to you becoming who you really want to become. And so
you should write a book, Dare to Delete, in response to Brene Brown's Dare to Lead.
Whoa.
Just an idea. A guy came up to me after your sermon in the lobby and he's like, hey, I wanted to catch one of you guys to tell you about this app called Opal, O-P-A-L.
Okay.
And it is a screen control app controller on your phone where you can basically tell it, I am only allowed to be on Instagram for 20 minutes a day. And then after that, you can't do it. It's not like a reminder like you've used too much or whatever, but it controls like, I know the iPhone has stuff like that, but he said this app's way better.
That's cool.
To block things, block apps, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How much is it?
It is, it's making it seem free.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cheap subscription.
Okay.
That's very cool. So like for me, I get off Instagram for extended periods of time throughout the year, but I also use it for work, for the church and for writing. And the temptation though is to get back on and post what I need to post and then spend the next 2 hours on it. Right. And so a big part of 2025 for me is, okay, so how do you get on in the morning and post the video that you need to post, and then get off and stay off for the rest of the day, right? Or stay off for 2 days or 3 days or whatever I decide. And so I'm in this tension where it's like, no, it can be used as a tool, and I feel like I need to use it as a tool. I wish I could just be done with it.
Yeah.
I really feel called to use it as a tool. However, there's a way to have a phone without letting the phone have me. And it's hard. It's like every day I'm like opening myself up again to like, well, I wonder how that one's doing. And I wonder how that one's doing. But it does get easier as you go like, no, I'll see on Wednesday when I check it again. Until then, I'm not on it. And so Opal may be a good way for somebody to step into that.
Yep. There's things like apps and stuff that takes the control away from you, because on your own, you often probably won't actually have the self-discipline to not just jump back on.
Yeah, I think we have a large enough sample size to know that we're
that's
not
the story of humanity. I would say this year has been the most helpful. Sorry, I've just gotten a text from our producer, Ethan. He sent me a movie.
He just fucked us, dude.
Oh, you have it?
I had it for the past.
I'm already getting symptoms of abandonment.
Oh, and it'll tell you. You try to click an app and it'll like talk trash to you.
Yeah, talk to my therapist about this.
That's awesome. You should put that into the episode. You know how to do stuff. This guy's tricky.
Ethan's smart, man.
So I have forever been shopping for an alarm clock and finally bought one.
Okay.
I know, because I'm always like,
the simplest
I know.
ever.
Well, let's not judge each other's delayed processes here.
Yeah,
I'm saying this for the sake of a lot of people that are for like years, like, I want to get control of my phone, but I'm not. So I always was going to get an alarm clock, but then I use my phone for my alarm. And I have this app that would, wake me up gently, all that stuff. So I finally got a sunrise alarm clock, and it will slowly wake me up with a little bit of light and sound over 10 minutes, right? Next to my bed. And for the last month, I've been plugging my phone in the kitchen, in the bathroom.
Nice.
And it's helped me with one, I don't lay in bed just on ESPN for an extra hour. So I sleep more, but I literally sleep better.
Yeah.
And I know there's like the blue light part of that. So there's a physical reason why I'm not on my phone as late, whatever. But when I put my phone to bed and I know it's not in my room, I feel like subconsciously my brain just feels like safer and more at peace.
Yeah.
And I have slept so good.
Come on.
For the past month. So that's been a huge help. And then...
Do you and Steph get up at the same time then?
No. She
doesn't
can sleep through anything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it would be like, hey...
But it's subtle.
Yeah.
But I wake up pretty quickly and then I shut it off before it gets loud and too bright.
Imagine if there was like a guy who was like, Ethan, I want to be right next to you as you sleep. And anytime anything goes wrong in the world, I'm going to yell at you.
Right.
That it's happening.
Yeah.
Does that sound like a good idea?
Exactly.
It's like, no, of course not.
Oh, no.
But even like, I can know, like I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, so I shouldn't get any notifications, but still just knowing it's there. I feel like your brain is kind of like, I can't fully rest. So it's been great having it out of my room. And then I set up my phone so that my morning routine is I wake up to that alarm clock, and before I can get my phone to go work out, I first do my time reading the Bible and praying and journaling. So I haven't touched my phone yet, but then when I get my phone, I reorganize my first page to only have the apps I'm allowed to use for workout reasons.
The workout page.
And then once I'm done with my breakfast and stuff at my house with my boys, and I've spent time with the people that matter in my life and God before that, and I've done my workout, then I can scroll over to the main stuff I use and my work page and the extras, which I could probably just delete all that. So
super intentional, man. I love that.
This is, I mean, I just look at that and I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, that is. That is.
Yep.
So,
dude, good one.
I'm fired up about this right now.
Yep. Can I give one more, or are we giving too many?
There is not enough.
Giving too little.
We're giving too little.
Yes.
A big one for me this year is Grayscale, and I know I'm late to this game.
Yeah.
But you just go to settings and then accessibility and then color filters, and you turn on Grayscale so that instead of your phone having bright colors, it's just gray.
Yeah.
And it makes it kind of hard to navigate and use. But once you get used to it, I kind of see it as like, instead of, if you're having a hard time not eating like junk food, but you have a bunch of junk food in your house, like just get healthier food, right?
I'm going to do it today.
It's almost
Grayscale.
like turning like the sugar content down on food. It's the same thing, I think, visually. Like my phone is just less appealing to look at.
Yeah.
You know?
And then there is the way you can like triple click or something, and if you want to see something in color, like short video or whatever.
So when I post like a video on Instagram, I have to turn it back on.
Yeah.
So that I can make sure everything's good. Because I'm like super good, at like focusing and stuff like that.
Social media.
So I turn it on, I post, and then I immediately turn it right back off.
Okay.
When you were preaching, and then I knew at some point on the podcast we'll talk about this, I thought like this is probably the 10th time on this podcast we've talked about phones.
Yeah.
And for a good reason. That we may become a broken record talking about this, where people kind of go, we get it. Like, we need to take control of our phones. I'm like, yeah, we're just going to keep talking about it, because I just truly believe a generation or two from now, this will be one of those things people look back on like, we thought smoking cigarettes was good for us. Yeah. And then we found out it was giving everybody lung cancer.
Yep.
And this phone problem is truly an epidemic that you just have to keep pushing people in, because we all drift right back. You fast from it for 21 days, you're right back into it. Unless you take some serious steps to get in control of this.
Agreed. Because there's levels of getting it. That's when you say, I get it, I'm like, I believe that you think you do get it on some level.
Do you gnosco it?
But there you go.
Nice.
But, but you're not changing.
Yeah.
You're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
This isn't going to lead to anything being different in your life.
Yeah.
So we don't get it as much as we probably should get it.
No.
We do to some degree, but there's a spectrum there.
The enemy we're up against is way stronger than we think.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to watch the destruction it reaps, unfortunately, in our kids' lives and their kids' lives.
I just hate, because I'm like the man in the mirror's holding a phone. So my kid's dad has a phone in his hand. I hate that.
Right.
Hate it.
Yeah. Oh,
That's the stupidest
last night
thing
I was like,
that I've ever said out loud.
Yeah.
My kid's dad has a phone in his hand.
Oof.
And that is such BS.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's normal.
Our kids deserve better.
Yeah. Sometimes normal is so stupid.
Oh,
And like Paul saying, there's a wise way to live, and he says foolish, which is a synonym for stupid.
Yeah.
And there's just stupid ways to live that aren't even necessarily sinful yet. Yeah. Like you mentioned this past week, but that like
they become,
you don't have to
it's
be
just fantasy football, man.
I'm gonna say it one more time. You don't have to be stupid because everybody else is being stupid.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm so over it. I don't know what it's been. I've never felt this passionate about phone stuff in my life.
Well, I think part of it is we have so many meetings with people who have such struggles with contentment and are so distracted. And it's like, I can't figure out what to do with my life, and I can't keep a relationship healthy and all this stuff. And it's like, there's a lot of ingredients. I can't pray. I can never get consistent in my time with God. Like when you said in your sermon, you're like 3 hours on Netflix and I don't even notice. But to read to 15 minutes with God, like I'm so busy. There's no time, right? Like, how many times are we all going to say that and hear that before somebody stops you and goes, stop living the way you're living? Yeah. Then change something. You have to change something.
Have to.
Which takes me to one of the best stories we've ever witnessed, which we should say for a sermon, but we should just tell it right now.
Do something different.
Change what you're doing.
Change what you're doing.
So Doug and I were on a bus in Zambia.
Yeah.
We had just come off this cargo ship ride down Lake Tanganyika. And we got into Zambia and we had this, how long was that bus ride?
It was 12
eternity. Hours or something.
I feel like I'm still on it.
Dude, us doing that trip now probably wouldn't fly. It was so many long
bus ride
strides.
was brutal. So we got on the bus off the lake in Zambia and we went in all the way to the city. And as we were getting onto the bus, we're sitting in the very back and it starts to smell on the bus. And we're like, oh no, like we're gonna be on this forever and it smells bad. And we look up ahead a couple rows and there's this guy who has like a big bag that he's trying to stuff into this little compartment and tiny little fish are falling out of it.
Fish. Real fish, not goldfish.
Dead fish that smelled horrible.
Like sardines or minnows or something.
It was so abundantly clear that the bag wouldn't fit where he was trying to put it to everyone watching, and he just kept going. It was like, push it this way, and fish are falling out.
In case you're thinking, that probably had to smell like fish. Oh yeah.
The whole bus.
just so we're clear.
So Doug and Matt and I are sitting just watching this happen. And at one point, just out loud, I just go, change what you're doing. And that, like, we were laughing so hard because it became like such a life mantra of
That's
like so
prayer,
many of us
man.
are just doing the same stupid thing over and over and over. And everyone's like, change what you're doing.
Change what
That's
you're doing.
obviously not going to work.
Yeah.
That's making your life worse or not making it better. Change what you're doing. Put that in the under compartment of this bus. Please don't put it up here and get fish.
Your system is perfectly designed to give you the outcome that you're getting, that you have been getting for a decade.
For your whole life.
It's perfectly designed. It's not that you don't have a system. It's that yours is bad. Mine is bad. And it's giving you exactly what it's designed to. So change what you're doing.
Change what you're doing. And also use one of these Yonder bags. Whoa. So that was our opening segment.
Okay.
On the Yonder bags. I think everyone's clear now on what we do and why we're doing it.
But seriously, make it part of your weekly rhythm for 1 hour. You have 168 hours in the week. Have 1 hour where your phone is in a bag and you're just present in a church.
For Christmas, Rethin gave us journals. And I've been using it.
It's a great journal.
It is a great journal.
And I've been using it. And he was like, I know that you said you're not really a journaler, but I love writing stuff down. Whenever we meet, he's always taking physical notes. So I've been using it all year. And it is so clear how much more you retain and remember and process when you actually write something down versus your phone where you're like, let me put this in the notes app. And then you're like, oh, my buddy just texted me. Oh, there we go. So thank you. That feeling. That's what you should do during a sermon if you want to get something out.
Bring more journals to church.
Journals 2025.
I'm pushing for it.
Come on, man.
One more thought on the word intentional until we move on. But that feeling of, man, I just feel like, it's 2025 already. Life is just, what happened in 24? What did I do in 2023? I feel like every day is long, but it's a blur and the seasons kind of blend together. And that feeling, the remedy for that feeling, I believe if you did two things, if you were intentional in the car and instead of distracting yourself with content, you thought and you sat in silence and you talked to God and you just kind of go through your day, and the other one was journaling on paper, which is kind of the same concept. One is just while you're driving and using that 30 to 60 minutes a day that you're going to be in the car commuting anyways, you might as well do two things at once. You might as well get from A to B and process.
Think and talk
pray
to God.
And not waste that precious time and journaling.
Yeah.
If you do those things, and you make it consistent, you will feel less and less of that eerie feeling of life is just slipping by and it's been a blur and I don't even, I'm telling you, silence in the car and then journaling a little bit every day. You will get a grip. It's almost like it's slipping through your hands and that's how you grip it again.
You know how many people have told me like, hey, all these stories you guys share on stage, how does all this stuff happen to you guys? And what I always respond is, actually, everybody has that many stories. You just have to be really intentional about remembering them. So many things happen all the time. We get a gift that we're always thinking about sermons. And so it almost like forces us to pay attention. But if everyone just paid attention and wrote down and thought about the things that happen, you would realize that you have a story to tell every single day.
Yeah, that's good. We get a pre-programmed text every morning of the schedule for the day, which anyone can do. You can set it up to text yourself the next day. But even just me reading through that text, and sometimes I'll pray through it. Like for my meetings and who I'm meeting with and what's coming up, my brain suddenly is like, okay,
I do that too.
I know that, but my brain is like, oh, I know the day ahead of me. Instead of like you get to work and you're like, oh, what do I have today? And then you just all day long feel like you're catching up to something that was already planned.
Right.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Enough about this, guys.
Okay.
Poor Kayla texted me earlier. She's like, hey, I have a lot I got to do for the women's event. Can I just do the questions and take off? And then we just did a 30-minute
questions and then get out of here.
30-minute intro. So you can skip the last 10 minutes after you ask us a question or two. But we know the viewers will riot if there's no questions with Kayla.
That's right.
So hopefully you've stuck with this episode.
People will egg the church.
So that you got to questions with Kayla. What you got?
Not the church, just our cars.
I have a story with the phones that frustrates me like so much.
Go.
So I'll be like at work and I'll be like, oh I'm reading. Like I'm trying to get back into reading and like I'm finally like kind of in my like reading kick now. I'm like, I'm so excited to read tonight. Like I'm looking forward to it and everything. And then I get home and I'm like on my phone and like the Kindle or book is like next to me. Like literally I brought it out into the couch and it's next to me. And it's like, I literally like feel like stuck on my phone. Like the doom scrolling. It's like, I'm literally like, I like feel frozen. Like I literally like I have to like almost throw it to be like, okay, well, now we're good.
Get it.
And now I only have 5 minutes to read instead of an hour. And then I get so frustrated. I'm like, I was looking forward to this all day and I ruined it. And now I only get to enjoy that much of it. And did I learn anything from my phone? No. But it's that feeling. Like I think
you're describing everyone's life right now.
Yeah, but I just feel so
really
stuck on it. And I'm like,
it's real.
It's like the subconscious, like, you need to get off. Like but I'm like, oh, but the next thing, I only want 3 more. Give myself 3 more scrolls. And then I'm like, 2 more.
That was what the Social Dilemma documentary brought to everyone's attention, is that this is not neutral.
Right.
These apps that you're on are not neutral. They are purposed to get you to do that, to make you feel that way, to keep grabbing your attention and keep hold of it, because they don't want you off of this. It's not like it's up to us completely. There is another force in this that is working to make you feel like that. Scary.
Yeah, you actually
annoying.
don't have complete.
That's why all the
free
people
will.
who design this stuff won't let their kids have this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the craziest thing. It's like if I cook a meal at my house and I'm like, here you go, guys, everybody eat this. And then you're like, why aren't your kids eating? I'm like, oh, I would never feed them this. You'd be like, well, I'm not eating it either then.
What's in it?
Yeah, exactly.
I have a question for Kayla.
Okay.
Well,
Try.
hold on. Let me. Is it? Okay. Sean said it's fine.
Sean said, okay.
He's doing great.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he's using one of these phones too. He said he was inspired by the Yonder bag. So he's on his
Landline.
analog phone, whatever.
You describe feeling a sensation of being stuck.
Yes.
Are there any other physical symptoms or sensations that happen to you in that moment? And I'm asking because I actually am starting to get a little nauseous.
Yeah.
It's starting to make me nauseous when I'm
Whoa.
in exactly what you're describing.
Whoa.
Like almost like it's definitely anxiety. Like, but it's like an anxiety in like a different form, I feel like not like physically like shaking, but I kind of feel like the inside of my body is like shaking.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Whatever that is.
That's wild. That's well said.
Yeah. And
That's crazy.
you see every, like I'll be scrolling through Instagram and I'm like, another plane crash. Oh, and here's the footage. And I have to scroll before. I'm like, I don't want to, I'll pray for those people, but I don't need to see that.
Yeah.
Actually. And that's, there's the most extreme things that a human being can witness.
And you just get 100 of them.
And you get 100 of them. And if you're actually witnessing that in person, it's very, very different, obviously.
Right.
But how many virtual videos equals doing that? Is it like 100? Because you get that in a week.
Imagine if you could bring somebody like back that was alive in 1776 and you had them live one day here with a smartphone and the amount of stuff they would know and learn and see in one day. They'd probably
They wouldn't know what to do.
implode.
Yeah.
It would override their brain. They'd be so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Almost all of human history, people have not had this many inputs. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
That you feel that way.
Shaking.
And you feel the
And if they came here into the future before we gave them a phone, they'd probably be like very happy. And we'd be like, oh my gosh,
wow.
is that how humans are supposed
So you
to
just
be?
sit here and talk to me and you're just president,
You're just
nice
content and
cool.
happy and healthy. And
Yeah. But you have scurvy, so that's
Yeah.
Well,
too bad.
there's a give and take.
Yeah, sure.
I keep thinking
we
of,
are going to take you to a doctor because we have figured some stuff out that will help you.
I keep thinking of that. You know the scene at the end of like a movie where the drama teacher is like walking out for the last time and they like pull that big lever that turns all the lights off and it's like whoosh.
Oh yeah.
That's what I feel like for me when I get on my phone and start scrolling. I feel like I go from being super present to like I just went
Yeah.
and now I'm just in it.
Yeah,
And
you
I'm
just watch
numb.
people do that all the time.
And so
just
it's so
right in a
hard
conversation and
to be
somebody's
like,
gone.
I got to read that book. But to do that, it requires me to like turn everything back on.
Yeah.
And so it's like this like really hard, it's this weird like numbness that leads to apathy.
And it
where
has
I just go,
it has the effects of an addiction. So it's not just as easy as being like, okay, I don't want this anymore. That's why you feel like I can't let go of this. I need this. And you feel some withdrawals from it when you let it go.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
it's an encouraging time we live
Yes.
in. Do you have
we
any
should do a
So-
series about this.
Sure. Happy to.
For real.
I'm in.
Yeah. A series.
Yeah.
And do like a month challenge.
We could
It's
just
like Devo based or something like that,
Done.
but it's
Oh,
all
dude,
about
done.
it's all about how to live intentionally.
I've
with
already
the
got
phone.
ideas. We could call
Okay.
it we get it already. And then every week we'd be like, actually, no, you don't.
And the band Cake has a song called No Phones that we could play.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Also,
So
great
older-
job reading more, Kayla.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Yes, that's great.
It's a good thing.
Any questions?
Yes, I
You should
do.
read Curious George because you and him are very similar.
Yeah, we are. I love
You're
that
very
show
curious.
growing up.
Kayla's been getting recognized out in public. People are like, wait, are you Kayla from
Yeah.
Questions?
Wait,
So shout out to the
just
people
more
that
and
went
more.
to the gym.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah. To the 2 people that went to the gym and asked if I was questions with
Okay,
Kayla.
well, you're kind of making it sound like less than I made it sound like.
Oh. Okay.
Fine.
Well, kind of on like the last kind of topic of what we've been talking about, you talked about comfort a lot
Yeah.
with your sermon, which was great. And so I have some questions kind of to go off of that. What is y'all's like comfort show that like, it's like, I don't know, makes you feel good or like you're just like, I want this on.
Mine's just having sports on. Golf tournament, sports center, basketball game, any sporting event on. I like to have it on. There are times literally where I will leave it on when I leave to like go down to the park. So when I walk back into my house, I walk into golf on the TV. It's so stupid. What a waste of electricity.
Phenomenal.
I repent.
gosh.
I repent.
Mine's The Simpsons. I grew up watching it every night.
Wow.
And so it's a comfort thing for me.
Yeah, either The Office or YouTube golf.
Nice. Okay. And now what's like your comfort food?
Deep dish pizza.
Yeah, pizza.
Deep dish.
Deep dish
Wow.
pepperoni pizza from HEB.
Dude, those deep dish pizzas at
With,
HEB
and then I
are
make
insane.
a ranch and buffalo sauce and honey mixed together as a,
Yep.
and that's the sauce
That's a really good answer.
Mhm.
Popcorn.
Right.
Steph and I have. My brother and his wife were in town and they were at our house and my sister-in-law went into the pantry. She was like, oh my gosh, you guys have the greatest popcorn seasoning collection I've ever seen.
You do, man.
We do.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, it's inspiring
It
and
is.
healthy.
All right. And now what's your comfort music? We're all
Ooh.
about the
Oh, Red Rocks
comfort
Worship,
today.
obviously.
Yeah.
like in a good way or a bad way?
Like it makes you like you can turn it on and it just like soothes you in a way.
Yeah.
Need to breathe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine's John Tesh.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
John 10 Tesh.
That's
John
right.
Tesh 10. Either way.
Tony Anderson.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
Great soundtrack.
Tony.
Mm-hmm.
And then my last question is Ethan talked about how Peter got out of the boat.
Mhm.
Don't try to make yourself sound like something better than you are, but maybe you
Easy.
actually would have.
Easy.
But would you have gotten out of the boat? Do you actually think you would have?
That's
That's a very good question.
That's funny. Don't make yourself sound better than you are. I think that we generally try to do the opposite.
Right.
I think at that's like, what are we thinking? That's probably a year into following Jesus for him. I think
Yeah.
all of us would have. Because we were
I
like
do
in that,
too.
we're that time where you're just
Yeah.
like, whatever,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
let's go.
Let's try
Mhm.
this.
So yeah, I think we would have.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we were all
Genuinely, yes.
lifeguards, strong swimmers. So
Strong
if we, even
swimmers.
if we had like some doubt about if
Yeah,
whether
we
we'd
would've been
actually do
fine.
it,
Yeah.
we could survive.
Okay.
Mhm.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Was it fun for you to relive that drive to California from Boulder?
Yes,
Dude,
man.
I
Speaking of-
remember
yeah.
when you guys left 835. That memory is like
It's one of the weirdest
engraved
days of
in
our
my
life.
Like, you guys okay? You're gonna be fine. You're just
Yeah.
driving to
No,
California.
no, we're not.
You were struggling.
Yeah.
It was early August of 2011.
Uh-huh.
And we listened to Need to Breathe, the album that starts with The Reckoning.
The Reckoning. Yeah. Great album.
Yep, maybe that's
That's
what
right.
the album's
think
called,
so.
I think. But
Yeah, that was surreal.
oh my gosh. And we didn't talk
No.
for
we
like
did-
the first 3 hours.
we were deep into the mountains when one of us broke the silence, I think.
Yes.
Wow.
Just kind of like, crap, we're really going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same way we felt when we had our first flight from LAX
Yeah.
to Miami to connect to Haiti when we
Yeah.
went to travel for a year on the AC project. Where you're kind of just like I'm sure Peter experienced that in split seconds, what we
Mhm.
experienced over minutes
Mhm.
and hours.
Yeah.
As he's taking that step, kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm actually doing this.
Yeah.
I'm stepping down onto that water or into that water. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
That's a crazy feeling.
Dude, when you said in the message, by the way, I think it was when you were talking about comfort. So the 4 boats you mentioned: comfort, fear,
Mhm.
shame,
Doubt.
and doubt.
Mhm.
And you mentioned comfort, which is when you had the pillow and the blanket.
Yeah, just camped out in a boat.
It was
So good.
it was an incredible point.
Yeah.
That was relatable for everybody, especially me. But when you talked about being older and you're like now comfortable and you think back to those early days and you're like, I would never do that anymore. Thank God. Like I there was a time for that and I did that. And now I'm, retired from it, if you will.
Yeah.
Retired from being outside of the comfort boat. That's actually, and I love how you kind of said, that's not an actual thing we're called to.
Mm-mm.
We sort of start to be like, oh, our stories are all from the past of when we lived, uncomfortably.
Yeah.
And now I've sort of earned this. And there are certain parts of life that, sure, hopefully, you get more secure in different ways. But the idea of always having a mindset where comfort is what's going to kill your future and kill your calling.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That was so good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun to preach from laying down in a boat with
I
a blanket.
was going to ask.
I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
People's faces were just like, what the heck is this?
So many people were filming.
Doing this.
Yeah.
Especially during the storm too.
I just wanted to make it memorable. It just in the moment, and I ended up saying it, I think at multiple services, but like, I'm a pretty dry guy, so I'm trying to bring this to life for you because so many Bible stories and things just kind of, we get used to it. You get comfortable with scripture, like, I know that story. I know what Jesus did.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring it back to how crazy of a moment that was for
What's
Peter.
Willard's line? I think he says familiarity breeds unfamiliarity. So you get so familiar with the passage that you don't really actually know it anymore.
Yeah.
And so what you were doing was you're like shaking them out of that.
Trying to.
Yeah.
And asking that question that hit me so strongly years ago. Why are 11 guys still in the boat? Like, I never had thought of that reading that story, because you just quickly hone in on Peter and you're like, wow, what a cool story for him. And then what he fell, all that stuff. And you forget there's 11 spectators watching that who also had the same opportunity.
Yeah.
And how true that is to so many of us in our faith journey. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great sermon,
and
man.
Christians. You're not talking about like the world and then
no,
Christians are the ones who get out of the boat. You're talking about in the sample size of all Christians.
Yeah.
1 out of 12.
Yep.
And I used to read those stories and only one got out of the boat. Or when Moses sent 12 spies into Canaan to scout it out, and 2 out of 12 came back with faith, and the other 10 were scared.
Dude.
Yes.
And I used to think that's just like dramatic to make a point, but I actually think those statistics are pretty dead on.
Mm-hmm.
Dead on.
Pretty dead on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, with the 4, shame, fear, doubt, and what's the other one? Comfort.
That one's obviously not your struggle.
No,
good job.
Not at all. I haven't been comfortable in 35 years.
Good. Can I say it real quick to comfort? I said this and then I didn't in some of the services, but this hit me. Comfort, it can be a really bad thing. Comfort's also a godly thing.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit's called our comforter.
Yeah.
I just get concerned a lot with us on this side of the world. How often do we need the Holy Spirit to comfort us? Because we're already so comfortable with the worldly things.
Right.
When you're in the boat with a blanket and a pillow, you don't really need the Holy Spirit to comfort you. When you're about to step out of the boat, you definitely need the Holy Spirit to comfort you. So there's a godly comfort that we do need. Most of us don't experience it or lean on it because we're made so comfortable by the world. Continue.
I was just going to say, which of those 4 historically for you has been the biggest one keeping you in the boat?
Shame, for sure, has been that. And that clicked in my mind thinking about Peter. I can remember 10 years ago talking about John 21 and how powerful that moment is when he jumps out of the boat to swim to Jesus. But I had never framed it up against his other boat experiences. And you could throw a 4th boat experience in there where Jesus naps in the storm. I think that built their confidence too, because there's a storm going on and they're looking at Jesus like, okay, well, he's not scared of anything.
Yeah.
And then he calms the storm and is like, chill out, So Peter learned so much in a boat, but to see his final response the last time we see him in a boat, to dive in and go to Jesus, that has just always been a picture I need to keep in my head in my moments of shame and my moments of wanting to put myself in timeout or think that repentance is running from God instead of to him, or disqualifying myself from a step of faith. Whatever is happening that shame is speaking to, I love that picture of Peter going, you know what? Forget this. If he's on that beach, I'm getting to him because he has everything I need and I don't want to be out here alone. And I learned that a while back and I'm learning it again.
It's great, man.
What about you guys?
Yeah, when you were telling the story about the guy from back in college from the annex who always just was chirping about you. And we laugh about it, but
we gotta get him. We gotta get him on.
Yeah, we can bring him on.
But it did damage at the same time.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
It was like there's shrapnel that comes from that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I actually got like a little emotional when you were sharing that story.
Well, you guys probably got some of that too because you were friends with me. So you probably
smoking cigarettes with you.
You probably got thrown under that bus as well.
Oh yeah.
But that is humans with God. That's just what we do. We talk trash about him. We say a bunch of stuff about him without knowing him.
Yeah.
Never give him the chance to actually explain himself to us or get to know him at all. We just make judgments from afar.
That's true.
And write him off.
Yeah.
Yeah, such a good illustration. Yeah. And then you go and imagine there's a biography written about.
Dude.
Yeah. So good, man.
Yeah, I hope it was helpful. I've had some cool conversations with people.
Yeah.
Eric Barney's taking the boat.
I love that
Very
so
happy
much.
for him.
Let's go, Eric. Thanks, Barney.
Yeah.
Doubt is mine for sure. That voice in the back of my mind of like, yeah, but is God really going to come through? Like, I know he is, and I know I have a track record of trust and all of that. But this time around.
Yeah. If you dissect that, where do you think that started, or where does that come from?
Well, and just being a skeptic naturally and always asking questions. The hardest thing for me, or one of the big things I've had to learn, even just with the three of us building a church together, is there's going to be times where I want more answers before we move forward on something. But if you two are really feeling something strong, to just trust it, because my brain is a gift to us, but it can also keep us back and keep us moving too slow.
Yeah.
And so for me, I love that I'm a skeptic. I love that I want to have answers. But you don't see Peter just being like, hey, so when I get out of the boat, you're going to like change the water substance so that my foot's going to like rest on it. Right. And then I'm going to be like, no, it's like he just went for it.
Yeah.
You know? And so for me, I think I'm very good at this, at going for it, but it's really difficult for me.
Yeah.
And there's an extra amount of like faith that it takes for me.
What is I challenge people, like, you've tried doubt. Yeah. What does it look like to try trust? How have you pushed yourself to try trust, and how does God meet you when you do?
So much of it is to realize that I'm not in charge of, like, I'm not God's defense attorney. That like, I don't have to, so many times, man, somebody will come to me and ask for wisdom or advice. And in the back of my mind, I'll be like, yeah, but I don't know if I should really tell them to do that, because what if it doesn't work? And then they get mad at me or they get mad at God. And all of those games that I play, I've had to learn to be like, or I could just point people to scripture and give people principles, kingdom principles, and then trust that God's got this and God's gonna take care of them. And that for me, I don't do it all the time. But when I can learn to give that back to God and let God be God, so much more peace on the other side of it.
In some way, doubt is tied to control.
Control. That's right.
And trust is tied to surrender.
That was really well said. I got to call my therapist.
Oh, which one?
Which one for you?
Probably comfort.
Yeah.
And in certain ways, physical discomfort for some reason for me, because I think of like 15 years of chronic pain,
right?
And like getting sick, getting the flu, or drives me.
Yeah, it's your least favorite thing
crazy.
In the world.
Because I think comfort has something to do with control too. About like, oh God, I will do everything right. I'll do all the right habits. I won't do any of the wrong ones for my whole family, and set up like a, sort of a perfect life. Like everything is, I'm doing all the right things, and yet, and things will still be random that I can't control.
Yeah. That
will ruin it.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or our house will be sick for 6 weeks straight. And
for example.
Yeah. So any chance I have to grab onto comfort, I will, for that reason. Yeah. And I was thinking about that a lot while you were preaching. It's like it's one category that is beneath the greater category of comfort, but like physical, like almost like my body, I guess. I don't know. I haven't gotten used to So I woke up this morning at 2 a.m. with a migraine. And that has happened, I don't know how many times in 15 years.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, laying on the couch, I'm like, is there something I just haven't learned that this is trying to teach me so it'll finally leave me alone? And I was like, even if there was, I don't know that I'm going to learn it, because I hate this. I'm so over it. I haven't embraced it. I haven't gotten better at having migraines.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Haven't gotten better at any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's something I'm trying to figure out with comfort. And I think that also spills over into other parts of my life of wanting, everything to sort of be in its place. And
right.
Yeah. I find comfort even thinking about a future where everything is more so just sort of.
Yeah, when you dream about the future, which you do all the time.
Yeah.
You're not dreaming about like, oh, but somebody's still going to have the flu when you're set up in that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like everything is put in its proper place, which is like the great like irony of all of this is even when you get to that point, somebody's still going to have a fever.
Which is ultimately why hope for eternity is the thing that wills you, I feel like, and pushes you through the fears and out of comfort and deals with your doubt and reminds you of what's true and real. It was perfect. A few nights before I preached, we were at an event where this guy, Jordan Rayner, spoke, and with like no introduction, just came out firing, talking about 4 half-truths we believe about heaven.
Right.
And he went all into New Earth and how like, if it's what we always make it out to be as Christians, then nothing that you do matters unless you're a pastor, basically. And instead, he flipped that and applied so much purpose to work, because Jesus is making things new, and this is our eternal home. It's just going to be refined and made new and all that. But the way he was talking about New Earth, and there's a children's book that he wrote as well. I can't remember the title of it right now, but I read it to my boys the other night, and it's just like watching them. Like the Zeke with the David and High C story, but watching them reading this book and asking me questions and dreaming about like, we could ride on lions and we could, just like all this amazing stuff that reminds you in the here and now, there are some things that I just won't understand. And do I have a migraine because I need to learn a lesson, or do I have a migraine just because my body's broken in a way? And there may not be some big purpose to this. It just is part of being in this world. I don't know, but this is temporary. This is not forever. And that hope that fills you then speaks to all those other things, which takes me back to Peter sitting in that boat, realizing like he did it. He's back.
Yeah.
Like that's him.
Come on.
So what am I worried about?
Yeah.
Why am I not jumping out of this boat? If he just did that, then I'm going to spend the rest of my life telling people about it, which is what he went and did. And it doesn't make the storm go away completely, because we still struggle, but it speaks to that storm really powerfully and minimizes it and burns away those clouds when you keep that perspective. So it's been a great series so far. I'm loving the more series.
Yeah,
excited to hear what you got.
Oh, we got a good one. We got a good one coming this weekend. I'm excited about it.
Okay.
Come on.
Last couple things.
Yes.
We, just a reminder, you can get these phone bags at church. Afterthoughts will be live at South by Southwest, March 9th, 3:30. Donald Gee and Andrew Stanley, some comedians, are joining us, and it's going to be a really, really fun day. So if you're in the Austin area or you're coming in for South by Southwest, it's a free event. We would love to see you there. We'll keep putting the link in the captions for episodes, and come back if you're in Austin also this week for another more sermon. Ladies, have fun at the Galentine's.
Galentine's.
Peace.
Peace out.